Alright guys, happy Thursday, happy Friday. We are back out here at the Mint Hill Shoe Market, and this is one that I am really excited for because in all of my years, months, days, weeks of testing shoes, all the hundreds of miles I've done, all the thousands of miles I've done this year, I have never run in a real stability shoe. Now, what we see in the market right now is a huge trend toward stability in everything from everyday running shoes like the Nova Blast here, where you have this massive wide base to provide a ton of stability and support, to things like race day shoes. Marathon shoes are now engineering in a bunch of stability with these wider, chunkier heels, really girthy bases, and overall the market is trending toward these shoes that provide some more support for recreational runners. So in a lot of the reviews that I'm doing and a lot of the shoes that I'm running in, I'm picking up on the stable trend, but I've never actually run in a shoe that's designed to provide that specific support for overpronators. So today we are going to crack open this box here, and I am going to run in my first real stability shoe. Let's get into it. Bang. All right, guys, so in this box here, we have the Puma Forever Run Nitro. And this is a name that kept coming up in the stability segment. This shoe, Saucony Tempest. There are a few of the shoes that people like that have that stability support, but aren't necessarily going to be as heavy and bulky as some other traditional stability shoes. So let's take a look. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see what color. Woo! They gave us a nice color here. Look at this. So Puma sent me this guy. We got the white and the yellow. And so let's take a look. So as I mentioned, this is a real stability shoe. And in looking at it, it's actually not all that different from some of the mild stability shoes we have on the market. So I pulled out, of course, the New Balance SC Elite V4 here, which is the most stable marathon racing shoe that I've tried. It is very wide. And then I also pulled out the Asics Nova Blast 4, which is probably the most stable daily trainer I've ever tried that's not a stability shoe. And then two shoes over here, which also are pretty stable. You have the Asics Gel Nimbus. The reason I pulled this guy out is look how wide it is in the back. Similar to Nova Blast. I think the Nova Blast takes the cake, but Gel Nimbus also has that wide base. That provides that inherent stability. And then, boom, Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. So this is also a shoe designed with some mild stability in there. Like the Forever Run Nitro, it has the plastic heel clip, but it's a max stack here, and it wasn't really positioned by Saucony as a true stability shoe. It was more of a mild stability shoe, and we actually see this plastic heel clip on a few other shoes in the market, namely the On shoes, and I think there might be one or other two. The Nike Invincible 3 also has this. So this is a shoe that I put 350 miles on. I could probably get a little bit more life out of it, but of course we have other things to run in, and it's a little bit past its prime. But a firmer foam in here, standard EVA. I know a lot of taller runners who like to run some fast daily miles while being well protected, like the shoe. That's what I used it for, and it served me well through the 350. So Puma Forever Run Nitro here. It's going with a little bit of that same formula as the Shift 3, where you get that plastic heel clip out in the back in a nice tall stack of foam. The thing is, with these Puma shoes, you get a little bit less of a rocker. So very flat bottom here on this Forever Run Nitro. And that's the thing with a lot of the shoes in this category of true stability. There aren't too many that are exciting, but the exciting part about the Puma here is this Nitro foam, supercritical foam. You can see it's giving me a nice little bit of squish here, and every time I've run in a Puma shoe, Deviate Nitro 2, Velocity Nitro 3, the new race shoe, they all have a nice bit of pep. The new race shoe is a little bit firmer because of the foam they're using here, but Velocity Nitro 3, and oh, look at that, we got the sun just nice, just banging off some little sunshine on the Nitro. But Velocity Nitro 3 and Deviate Nitro 2, very bouncy, very peppy. Deviate Nitro 2 uses the same or a similar foam in the heel here, again, for some stability, and it's a major trend in the market to have regular running shoes like bang, bang, boom, be more stable. But this guy, this is the one that's designed specifically, you like that? Out here like Randy Moss. This is the one designed specifically for overpronation. So you'll see on the inside here, this is where we get a lot more guidance. They call it the Run Guide System. This should prevent the ankle from turning inward. And then you also have this power tape overlay on the upper here again, and it feels pretty structured here. Again, that's to prevent the ankle from turning inward. So in addition to being a stability shoe, this has a decently tall stack. I'm not sure if I would classify it as max cushion. That's one of those things where it's a little bit loosely defined, but you have 35.5 in the heel here, and actually compared to any of these other shoes we brought out here, this would be the lowest stack. Nova Blast has 42, the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 has 39, and then the Gel Nimbus, this is the 25, which I would recommend over the 26 since that was a minor update, and this one you can find deeply discounted, but this guy has about 40. I think it's 41 in the heel here. So not as tall, not as highly stacked as some of the other shoes. And that's the thing with the stability category. For a lot of these shoes that are trying to offer the most support, you're not going to get as much foam underfoot, just because more foam typically means a squishier, squirrelier base. And I've had people even tell me shoes like the Shift 3, shoes like the Nova Blast, shoes like the Nimbus, they can all feel a little unstable just because of the tall height. So you'll typically get a little bit less stack in a true stability shoe like this, but we still get some good girth. So let's take a look here. Let's compare it to SC Elite V4. You can see it's even a little bit wider than the SC Elite V4, so really wide base. Let's check it against the Nova Blast. Pretty similar. Maybe Nova Blast has it by a little bit, but you do get that wide base of foam in the back. Seems like the midfoot is pretty good as well, but one of the issues I've had with these Puma shoes in general is that the forefoot feels really narrow, not necessarily on the bottom, but on the top here. The way that these shoes fit can be really narrow in the front, so that might be something to look out for as we lace it up. How does this fit versus some of these other shoes? And I'll say right now, Nova Blast is decently wide. It's not the widest shoe out there. All the New Balance shoes are really forgiving. Saucony is tight, very narrow, and then Nimbus here is also similar to the Nova Blast, not too tight, not too wide. Then heading up to the upper, again, even on the lateral side or the outside, we get a lot of nice overlays here, and this Puma logo is actually, it almost feels like a plastic piece on top here. And of course on the inside we have the power tape. Laces are those nice flat lay numbers, and the tongue is not padded, so it'll be interesting to see how tight we can crank these laces without feeling any sort of pinching. And then around the back we have some good padding, so I'm excited to see how this does on foot, and also whether the lack of a rolling rocker here is going to be any sort of an impediment to the shoe feeling fun, because in this category there aren't too many fun shoes. That's why I think some people who need extra stability are going a little bit more towards shoes like the Nova Blast, which have a little bit more of that fun factor versus the traditional stability shoes. Saucony Tempest is another one that has a little bit more of the fun factor from the Power Run PB foam, so we'll see how this one does today. First, let's pop it on the scale really quickly. World's quickest weigh-in, part 2. All right, let's see. Coming in at almost exactly 300. Let's see. Can you see that? Yeah, exactly 300 grams. So just for comparison here, that's going to be probably a little bit heavier than the Nova Blast. Yeah, Nova Blast comes in at 282. And let's take a look at that against the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 is a little bit lighter with more foam. That's interesting. So I'm thinking, and just feeling it to the touch here, the foam nitro here, nitro foam, is probably a little bit denser and should be more supportive than some of these other foams. Other thing I should mention is outsole grip here. Of course, we are getting the Puma grip, which might be nice because today it's not raining. Today's the first day in, I think, 2 weeks where it's not raining. We're going to go back to our rain streak tomorrow. It's going to be raining throughout the rest of the weekend, but we might still have some wet patches out here, so we'll see. Puma grip is really good for that. This is the best rubber for wet weather. So with that, guys, let's get this bad boy on foot. All right, guys, so lacing up the Puma Forever Run Nitro here, my first real stability shoe. And I should mention, this has a 10mm drop, so I will keep an eye on that. A lot of these 10mm drop shoes tend to put us up a little bit more on our toes and slant us forward, and yeah, this definitely has that feeling. Wow, this is really, it feels like I can't stand normally. Even just stepping into it, my center of mass is right on top of my forefoot here. It's a similar feeling to the Nike Invincible or Pegasus, if you've ever tried those shoes, where as soon as you step into it, it puts your weight all the way forward. Now, I will say immediately, just lacing up the tongue here, not even tying it super tight, but it fits my foot really well. I think whatever they did with this upper here makes a nice snug fit, and yeah, around the back, it feels like it's just cuddling the heel of my foot. So we'll see how that does. I think that's probably due to this plastic heel clip. But yesterday I ran in the On Cloud Runner 2, which again, like the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, that's a neutral shoe with a little bit more extra support. That's not their true stability shoe. I think the Cloud Flow would be On's true stability shoe. But a lot of these brands now, it's getting a little bit murky because you have some shoes like the Nova Blast, which aren't necessarily stability shoes, but have those stable elements. That's kind of like the Cloud Runner. And then this guy here, I have to say, it feels a lot more stable in the heel than something like the Shift 3 or the Cloud Runner. Even on step-in, it feels like I cannot move laterally at all. I am locked into this guy, so we'll see how that feels with running. And I'm not really sure what the downsides are. If anybody knows what the downsides are, if you are a neutral runner, if you don't need a stability shoe, are there downsides to running in a stability shoe other than maybe it's going to be a little bit heavier, which this isn't necessarily a ton heavier? I'm not sure, but yeah, on foot, let's do a little walk. Man, the most noticeable thing here is the 10mm drop for sure, and then my heel feels very snug. Very snug. Also, interestingly, it has a little bit of that arch fit sensation from the Skechers shoes, where the arch pokes up a little bit. I'm getting that in the left. But yeah, 10mm drop really slants me forward. Definitely feels like a touch firmer foam than in the shoes I've been running in recently. But I don't always mind a firmer ride. Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 was firmer, and I like that. Adidas Audi Zero SL was firmer, and I like that. So we'll see how this does running. And then, of course, look at this. Of course, that grip is going to be super solid. So time to get some miles in. Plan for this morning, we are going to do a nice and relaxed 45 minutes to an hour, probably around 6 miles here. This is my down week, so I did 3 miles or 3 weeks of 100 miles the past few weeks. Now I'm taking a down week. I'll probably close it out around 60 miles. Last cycle when I was doing down weeks before getting into the 10 straight 100-mile weeks I brought it down to 75, but I wanted to bring my down even downer because I did 3 marathons within the span of a few months. So we're doing a true recovery week this week, and for me that doesn't always mean just running super slow. It usually means just taking the volume down, and then we'll be back at it next week with the 20-mile doubles and all that good stuff. So a little nice 6-mile or 45-minute test run in the Forever Run Nitro. First real stability shoe, baby. Let's get it. Alright guys, that was a tough one, but we can still bang. Let's go. 6.32 at an 8:01 pace, 50 minutes and 40 seconds. And sometimes it's these recovery runs that are the hardest ones because I go into it feeling like it's going to be easy, it's going to be smooth, it's going to be a walk in the park. But the reason I'm doing a recovery run in the first place is because I had a hard effort or high mileage the day before, a few days before. And Tuesday, we ran a hard 10K. I ran about a 35, 50 something 10K. And I think my legs are still feeling that, because today we had the holy trifecta. We felt slow, tired, and weak all in one. So Puma Forever Run Nitro was on the feet, first ever stability shoe. And it's interesting because in my mind, going into this shoe and feeling the foam, seeing the stack up near 40, it's not all the way up there, but at 36 or 35 and a half, I thought this was going to be a nice, pleasant cruiser, have some pop, have some bounce. Maybe it'll be like the 1080, or it was not that soft, but maybe it'll be like the Nimbus or the Nova Blast. And I think I was expecting the shoe to do a little bit of the work of running for me. Not as bouncy as the Invincible, but in that same category, and that's not exactly what we got today. And I do think some of the stability features here were throwing me off a little bit. So let's lace these things down and then pop down to the street for performance breakdown. So guys, let me know what stability shoes you want me to test next. I have a few actually in the office that I'm waiting on. So let me know if there's others you want me to bring in here. This was an interesting one because I didn't think, given the stability features we have on here, it was gonna feel all that different from something like the Shift 3, but oh, the mosquitoes are really out here now. Yeah, mosquitoes, and we had slugs earlier. I didn't even show you that. It's just bug season. But yeah, it did feel quite a good bit different from anything that I've ever run in. I also think the 10mm drop is coming into play here. So let me know if there are lower drop stability shoes that you want to see me try, or that you like. What are your favorite stability shoes? I'm curious. And by the way, if you're going to buy this shoe or any other stability shoe, make sure to use my Running Warehouse links. I'll put a link to Supwell below. I'll put a link to the Forever Run Nitro below, so make sure to use those. And look at this. On the pull tab, they did a little reverse action. It's like when you buckle your seatbelt and have it twisted. Look at that. It goes bloop, bloop, boop. A little loop-de-loop. All right, let's go get this breakdown in. This is America. Yeah, first day where we're seeing the blue skies out here. Look at this. But you know what? Summer is coming. It's like they say winter is coming in Thrones. Nah. Chief Keef voice. Nah. Summer is coming in the Carolinas. That means it's going to be 95 degrees, 95% humidity. 1 mile in, heart rate's going to be about 95% of max. But we're still going to be getting in. Shout out to that dude in the Toyota Corolla Cross putting in work out here. Let's go. If I were Charlie, I would just be stepping straight into this puddle here with my all-white shoes on, but I'm not going to do that. Sorry, Charlie's just catching strays. She's not even here. All right, guys, 6 mile recovery run. I have to check. I think the mic is on. Yeah, this is my biggest nightmare now because the other day I did a 5-minute breakdown out here, a bunch of other stuff. I was doing shenanigans, and then I go to edit the footage and the mic wasn't plugged in. Oh no, I actually caught it and then did another breakdown while we were out here. That was in the Scooby Sen video. But today, mic is plugged in. Audio is good to go, I think. And 6 mile recovery run in the Puma Forever Run Nitro. And as I mentioned, I'm not feeling as sprightly as I typically would for a 6 mile run. And this is a down week. Mileage is about, I don't know, I think we only hit 30. At this point in the week, I'd usually be about 70, 80, or 90 or something wild. But that's the thing about the recovery weeks. We take them so that the body can recover. And I took a recovery week because I knew I needed it. And I also wanted to try to run a faster 10K. So I brought the mileage down and my legs are paying for it a little bit. But despite being slow, tired, and weak, or maybe because of being or feeling slow, tired, and weak, I feel a lot better after doing that run. And this is one of those runs where 4 miles in, I was thinking, should I just cut it short? I know I said I'm gonna do 45 minutes, but I cannot, no, I do not cut runs short unless there's something seriously wrong. So we closed out the 6 miles, and guys, I know I'll put up a 20-mile double day or a 26-mile long run, but sometimes, like I'm saying, the 6 mile recovery runs are the hardest, but we got through it. Puma Forever Run Nitro, first ever stability shoe. And this was an interesting one because it has some elements that I don't love in regular shoes or neutral shoes that are in here, like the 10mm drop. And I'll address that second because I do think that characterizes the ride a lot. But first thing, stability features. How do they feel? That is the main question that I wanted to answer, and the reason why I was running in this video. We're running in this shoe for this video today. So the stability features that we have here are this run guide system, and you can feel the plastic heel clip. I could feel this really locking down my foot, and at times, we got the sun coming out here today, baby. It's probably blowing out the whites a little bit, but I'm just gonna rock with it. Not gonna mess with the adjusting, because then I adjust it, and then look, now the sun's already gone away and it looks normal again. Bada boom. Anyway, stability features here, this run guide system. It was very stable. This is the most stable shoe I've ever run in by far. My foot was not going anywhere. It wasn't going bloop. It wasn't going bloop. It was going straight, straight boop, just completely like an arrow. Boop. You saw that? Boop. So there was none of that twisting and turning back here, even more so than something like the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. And I think the biggest difference with this shoe versus something like the Shift 3 or the Cloud Runner or the Invincible 3, all of which have these plastic heel clips, is on this shoe, the heel clip is not just on the midsole, it's on the upper as well. It sits above the midsole. You can see it right here. It goes above the midsole, even higher up than we had on the Cloud Runner yesterday. And it almost feels like there's a little toddler or Ray Lewis. I know those are two completely different things, but either a massive football player or a small toddler, one of those two, clinging to the back of my ankle and just locking it down, wrenching it back here. So it is a little bit of a weird sensation where at times it felt like in the heel I was stuck in mud a little bit, because the shoe is so stable, so secure, so snug in the back. It created this dynamic where it felt like I couldn't flex my foot as I normally would, even in a shoe with a stiffening agent like a plate. Is that the right way to say it? Even within a shoe that has that super rigid carbon fiber plate, there's a little bit more control with the ankle. So with this shoe, there is no twisting or turning at all with the ankle. I cannot move it, and I know some of these shoes, they call them the 4D guides or whatever. I don't think they call that in here. No, I forget what shoe that is, but with this shoe, I could not move the ankle side to side. I really couldn't move it up or down, so at times, it felt like I was fighting against the stability features a little bit because I don't quite need them. Now, if I did need the stability features, that might be a different thing altogether, and I'm sure I would have a different experience with the shoe, but for me it felt like a little bit of overkill. And even on a recovery day where I was feeling, hey, maybe my ankles are gonna feel a little bit weaker or more tired because I did a fast 10K. And by the way, there's a Ram truck coming. There's this one guy out here, man, he keeps accusing me of having weak feet and weak ankles. That guy's like, why is he so animated talking to the camera holding a shoe? But there's one guy who accuses me of having weak feet and weak ankles. I'm gonna cook something up to show him, okay? I know we can say turn the other cheek, take the high road, but it's also fun to get really petty and prove somebody wrong sometimes, so stay tuned. But with this guy, I did not have weak feet today. I felt like my feet were a little bit too strong, too robust for the stability that we had baked in back here, and it was just a little bit overkill for me. I don't think I have the perfect running form. I know, matter of fact, I do not have the perfect running form. You guys know that. I'm open about that. I can drag the heel or do something weird a little bit, but with this, I do not need all that stability. It didn't necessarily feel like a bulky shoe. It just felt like my heel was locked down so much that the ankle did not have a lot of control over the shoe. And another thing I think that's contributing to that is take a look at this upper here. It goes up really high. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we ran in the Atreyu, and I was showing you how low that upper was. That almost felt like I was wearing a Tom's shoe. This thing is like a Jordan with how high it goes and with how much ankle support it has. And I almost feel like I could play basketball on this. I think Puma actually has a good basketball shoe and basketball roster. They got Marcus Smart, who used to be a Celtic. I don't know who else they have, but yeah, almost a basketball shoe fitting upper, a mid-top fitting upper up here, locking the ankle in place. Now, foam experience is the second thing I wanted to address. So stability features in here, extremely robust. If you don't need all that stability and support, it's probably gonna be a little bit too much for you. And actually, looks like the sun is here to stay now. So let's adjust a little bit. Is that better? I don't know. Anyway, second thing is the foam experience in this. And with it being a stability shoe, you have to have a firmer foam. And I think people think right now I don't like firmer foam shoes, which is not true. I like the Velocity Nitro 3. I like the Nova Blast 4. Last year, two of my favorite shoes were two of the firmer shoes on the market, Adidas Adizero SL and the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. It's just, with the style of training I'm doing right now, my preference has definitely shifted more toward soft, higher stack shoes, but I can get along with some firmer shoes as well, like Nova Blast, even like some of the racers. I didn't love the Saucony Endorphin Elite, but for running fast, there's a purpose for that. Now, with this shoe, the purpose of the firmer foam is, of course, so you're not wiggling and wobbling around, and I actually thought the foam in here was really nice. It is on the firmer side, it is on the denser side. It's almost like Lightstrike Pro, but 15% firmer and 15% less bounce to it, so a similar experience where you sink in a little bit and then rebound out. Ooh, that's a unique one. That's the Explorer truck. So you know the Ford Explorer SUV, they did make a pickup truck version of that, and that was it. You see all sorts of cool trucks out here in the burbs. But yeah, like Lightstrike Pro, dense with a little bit of bounce to it, and I wasn't going as fast as I probably normally would if I weren't as tired, slow, and weak as I was today. But for the first mile, when my legs felt a little bit livelier, and then I got 10 minutes into the run and realized I had no fast twitch at all today, but for that first mile, it felt nice and lively. And I think if I wanted to do some strides in the shoe, even if I wanted to do maybe a tempo run, if I did need a stability shoe, I think this could be a viable choice. Maybe I'll have to test it with that, but with the weight being at 300 grams, it's not so much heavier in my size than any other daily trainer. So I think it could be a viable option for some occasional pace pickup. Now, with the foam setup in here, the biggest downfall, the biggest area where it's gonna get hoisted by its own batard is that 10mm drop. And so you get 35.5 in the back, 25.5 in the front, and you really do get that slanted experience here where it feels like the heel, and this is the thing, guys, you guys know I'm a little bit more of a heel striker, but even for me, I felt like the shoe was forcing me to land way too far back and not exactly the way that I would prefer to be running. And so trying to decouple the stability elements with the drop for a second, just talking about the drop, not the stability features. Man, all the unique cars are out rolling today. That was a Chevy HHR. It's like their PT Cruiser competitor. That's a cool one. You don't see a lot of those. But this guy here with the 10mm drop, if you don't get along with the higher drop shoes, you are not going to get along with this. And that's one of the reasons why people loved that Endorphin Shift 3 so much, which Saucony ixnayed on the IFT Shay. Unfortunately, why you got to do that, Saucony? Come on, bring it back. But now they have the Saucony Guide in the lineup, which maybe I'll try that. Let me know if I should try that shoe, which has a lower drop and more of a curve. So I think with this shoe, not considering the stability features, but just the 10mm drop and the flatter platform, wasn't my favorite, wasn't my preference. I think these Puma shoes, a lot of them could benefit from a little bit more of a curved bottom feature and just a tiny bit higher foam in the forefoot to lower out that drop. That would be nice. But if you do get along with higher drop shoes, then I don't think you'll have any problems with this shoe. And then last few things with the shoe here, upper lacing was great, very secure fit. It was on the narrow side. Again, all these Puma shoes tend to be on the narrow side for me, so I was getting a little bit of that rubbing up here. And then Puma grip, we did have, it looks dry here, but we did have a lot of these wet patches all throughout the neighborhood here. And of course, the Puma grip, best in the biz, baby. Find one thing and just become the best at it. That's what Puma did. And I love how they put these nubs here. They almost look like coffee beans. You see that? They almost look like coffee beans on this shoe, and it does a really good job at gripping the wet pavement. So you blokes out there in the UK, I'm sure you guys love this one. And by the way, when I was talking about the Adidas Takumi Sen the other day, some of you blokes told me that you like it for your park runs. And so I think if that's a great reason to use a lower stack shoe, not necessarily that this is a lower stack shoe, but firmer, more nimble shoes with denser foams that aren't super soft and squishy might work a little bit better for those park runs. That's a horrible British accent. I'm gonna work on it, okay? We're gonna workshop it. Maybe we'll do a take workshop. Maybe I'll do a take workshop when I just speak in a British accent. I gotta figure out which one. Maybe a Cockney accent. I don't know. Let me know what a Cockney accent sounds like. I'll have to look up one of those YouTube videos. But this shoe would be great for wet weather. I think it will also be good for if you had to do some light trails like in a park run. I will now say it in my refined Northeastern American accent. People used to say I have a Canadian accent, by the way, because of how I say house in a boat, but I do not. I don't know, maybe I do, but I was not raised in Canada. I was raised in Massachusetts, Lowell, Massachusetts. Anyway, closing it out on the Puma Forever Run Nitro here, 3 main questions that we should answer. How does it do versus its intended purpose? That was a bend. So our 3 main questions, again, we answer them in every video. How does it do versus its intended purpose? So this is designed to be a stable shoe with a nice amount of cushion underfoot for some decent comfort and versatility. It accomplishes that really well. Very stable. Again, Ray Lewis or a toddler just hugging my foot, locking it down in place here. It's not going anywhere. The foam itself is comfortable. I do think the 10mm drop, coupled with how they've shaped this midsole here, it's not my favorite, but it is a decently comfortable shoe. And the way that I like to answer this question is thinking about if I'd never run in any other shoe and I wanted something stable and comfortable, would this check the box? Yes, it would. Second, how does it do versus other shoes in the category? So other shoes that are looking to be stable and comfortable. And while I haven't run in any other true stability shoes, thinking about shoes like the Shift 3, the Nova Blast, even the Nimbus, maybe even the Cloud Stratus 2, this is decently comfortable and definitely stable, but not the most comfortable choice. And I think most people, and now I'm not an overpronator, but I think most people would probably do better and get along with a lower drop shoe a little bit more than this guy. The foam is nice and lively, so that's gonna give you some more bounce than something like the Shift 3, whereas that has a little bit more of the rocker. Of course, that one is discontinued. But I think Nova Blast 4, man, if you could get that shoe on foot, that keeps, with every shoe that I run in, the Nova Blast 4 keeps rocketing up my list of favorites because the value proposition, someone got triggered when I said that the other day, but the value proposition of the Nova Blast 4 is great. At $140, it offers stability, offers comfort, offers versatility. It's gonna be super durable. You can use it for long runs. You could even run a marathon in it. I ran a 3-hour long run in it and it was great. I think most people would probably get along a little bit better than a shoe like this. This one is gonna be better if you want more of that outsole grip for the wet weather, and if you don't mind that 10mm drop, the foam does have a little bit more bounce. So I would put it right in the middle. It's not the best stable shoe that I've run in, but a stability shoe like this is gonna be probably a little bit livelier than a traditional stability shoe like an 860 from New Balance, which hopefully I'll be able to test soon. Now, third question, how does this do versus everything else on the market? We already addressed that one a little bit. Again, I think for most people out there, if you don't need a ton of stability, I would go for something like the Nova Blast. The other thing I should mention though is at 35mm, this didn't feel like a giant, towering, tall stack, but it did feel decently protective and comfortable. My feet weren't hurting, they weren't slamming down into the ground, and that's due to a little bit of a denser foam here. So I think if you're a bigger runner or if you just like that denser foam feel, this is gonna be a nice choice, nice and comfortable. Of course, we gotta get some more miles in it, but after the first run today, I can say I'm pleased with my first stability shoe experience. I wish that this shoe in particular had a little bit of a lower drop, and I don't think I personally need stability shoes given how locked down it was. But as I like to say, there are no bad experiences out there. Every experience we have, every shoe we run in, every mile that we add to our Strava, I was trying to think of something a little bit better, punnier, wittier to say, but every mile we run adds to our overall analytical capabilities. It makes us better analysts and better observers of the world around us. So this is a fun one to do. Puma Forever Run Nitro. Let me know your suggestions for what stability shoes I should test next, or what other shoes in general you want to see me bring here in the office. Should I get the Saucony Guide? Should I get, I don't know, neutral shoes? Let me know. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.